Hi guys, I'm back at you with another video. This one I'm using the Morphe 9W, which is the Smoke and Shadow palette. It's all cool tones, and I'm also going to show you my first impressions on a couple different products that I try as well. Please ignore my crazy blush mishap. I feel like this happens a lot, but I tend to put on too much blush. So anyways, if you are interested in this look, just keep on watching and we'll get there. We'll get there. Alright, so I've already got my eyebrows and primer on. I'm just going to go into this blue shade right in the middle of the palette. And I'm going to use that as my transition shade today. Take this cool tone brown shade right next to the blue, and I'm going to start patting that in the inner or outer corner of my eyes, and I'm going to do that on both sides. See that I'm starting to blend upwards, so that harsher brown color is a little more mixed in with the blue, and I'm just doing this so that it looks like there's a natural gradient there, even though there isn't. And I'm just dipping back into that darker brown shade and the blue shade over and over to achieve this effect. Now I'm going to take the darkest black from the palette, and I'm going to use a small BH Cosmetics brush to put that in the very, very outer corner. And I really want to centralize this color there, but I am going to blend it in up with the other shades in the crease, just so that it looks a little more normal and cohesive and not just a layer of black on the outer of my eye. So I am still going in back with that black shade, and that's just to deepen up the outer corners and to blend up into my crease a little bit. So I decided that I'm going to take this light brown shade on the top row and right in the middle, and that's just to blend everything out, all the harsh lines from the grays and blacks, and I'm just trying to keep it right on top of those colors and not like too high above. Alright, so now you see that I'm just using this silver metallic shade and my finger to tap it all over the eyelid, and I'm doing the same on both sides here, just trying to build up that full opacity. So I went to apply my Pacífica Twinkle paint, and to my knowledge this was just like an eyeshadow that was liquid that you just had to apply over the top of normal eyeshadow. And I was totally wrong here, but I decided I wanted to try it at least on top of my glitter shades, and this is what it looks like swatched. So I really wanted to put that on the silver to kind of amplify the color, but I kind of failed. So I'm just using my blending brush from earlier, the biggest one, and I'm using that to blend out the shades on my eyelid. And I go in for a little bit more Twinkle paint on the other side of my lid, but I noticed that as I was using this, it was kind of like taking off the eyeshadow underneath it instead of just laying right on top. So to me that was like a huge fail. So I ended up having to take the palette back out and go in with that silver shimmer shade on both sides, because I just noticed that the Pacífica Twinkle paint had almost totally removed that shadow from my eyes, and it was just starting to look messy. So now I'm taking my blending brush and just blending out all the edges and making sure that everything looks clean and that the part where it took off my eyeshadow was totally covered. Next I'm using this black eyeliner pen from Tint, or pencil, and it claims to be able to do wing liner, but it totally can't. So I had to go in with my Kat Von D tattoo liner to kind of fix it. So now I'm using the Touch and Soul Icy Sherbet Primer, and I went in with this because I do find that it minimizes my pores the most, and it just feels really moisturizing on the skin still. So here's me blending that in. So now I'm just taking off all the fallout with a makeup remover wipe, and I had to do this on both sides because that black shade was really, I think like it kicked up a lot and gave me a lot of fallout, so here's just me doing that. So for foundation, I decided I was going to use the Urban Decay Hydromaniac skin tint again, and it really feels like more of a foundation than a skin tint. The texture is more like a foundation and it covers pretty decently, so I don't know, I hesitate to call this a skin tint when it seems like much more of a foundation, but here's me just applying that all over the face. You can use any sponge you want to blend this in. Right now I'm using the, I believe it's the BH Cosmetics sponge. I think it was only like $3 or something like that on one of their sales. So yeah, I would definitely check out them for sponges and brushes because they've always got great deals going on. So now I'm using the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo concealer. I'm just going to use that under the eyes and on top of the bridge of my nose, and as well as my cupid's bow and my chin. And I will just be blending this in with the same sponge I use for my foundation. And we're going to get to that process right now. this concealer was a little hard to blend in, but I think it's just because of how high coverage it is. I found that with a lot of high coverage concealers, did I just call it a foundation? I think I did. But yeah, they're super hard to blend in. Well, not super hard, but harder than the average product, and they do leave a nice finish though, I'll give them that. I'm just setting all the areas that normally crease with powder, like on my under eyes, the sides of my nose, everything like that. So I'm going to use some of my Coty Airspun powder just all over my face. I just wasn't going for like a cream product type of day. I just wanted to keep everything simple and powdered, and that way let's see how it blends. So now I'm just pulling out my Physicians Formula Butter bronzer, and I am just going to use this to contour my cheeks as well as my forehead and a little bit of my chin. I feel like I put a lot of product on my brush at the first application, so I tend to try not to put as much on the second time because I know that there is some residue left from the first time, but here's just me blending in that bronzer. Blush, I'm using this Wandavision and Ulta Beauty palette, and I'm just going to take the shade in the top left corner, I believe it was, and I'm just going to put this all over my cheeks. So now that my lashes are dry, I'm going to go in with mascara. I'm using the Better Than Sex Too Faced mascara, and I'm going to use that on both my upper and my lower lashes today. So ultimately, I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks so far. I just feel like there's certain things I can add, like highlighter, to really amp up the face situation. So I decided to pull out my Murumuru Physicians Formula Butter palette, and I'm just using the highlighter shade in there, and it's just so beautiful. So I really enjoy watching this go on with the skin because I just feel like it creates such a nice highlight. Now I'm just using some KAB Beauty Lip Oil, and I'm just using a couple coats of that because my lips have been super dry. So that's about it for the entire look. Alright, so this is the final look. I gotta say that I've used that Morphe 9W before, and I remember really liking it. So I actually really love the eye look I came out with today. It's just that Pacífica liquid eyeshadow I learned is not a topper because it started removing all the eyeshadow that I put, or that was underneath it where I put the liquid shadow. So I'm probably going to be using that by itself from now on, just because the glitter, the silver in that palette is just way too pretty not to use. Everything else I used are my favorites. I over blushed a little bit today, but luckily in person it doesn't look too bad. Like on camera it looks really red, but in person it actually just looks very glowy and pretty. So I don't have too many other final thoughts because I didn't really try anything. Oh, you know what? That eye pencil that broke on me halfway through the wing, that was annoying. on the box it literally said like, oh, it's sharp enough to do a wing fit. So I thought like, oh, I could try it, but no, terrible idea. So anyways, thank you for watching, and if you'd like to, go ahead and thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye bye.